Are we live though? That's the real thing. Are, are we live? I'd like to think we're live. Today has not been my day. Today has not been my week. Today has not been my month, my year. Although it kind of also has. It's been a mixed bag. Today is a day I will get some quality content done. And by quality, I mean whatever floats my boat at this particular time. Hi. Well, I'm giving you the content as promised. YouTube. Okay. Almost. Don't know how well you're going to hear this. No, my luck, you're not hearing anything today. Right. So, today is a day where I will pack up this monster of a bag with tons of DVDs, talking about each DVD in turn. I just have to share this on Discord and on Facebook, and we are good to go. I look so smeg in that picture. Not smug, but smeg. Boy, I sure hope I don't look stupid. Right, so I've got 4 boxes here, and I'll go through each and every one of them. Like last time. No gin, unfortunately. I've got like 10 quid to my name. Yes, rest of the music. Oh, if you're wondering why it's taking so long, this is taking so long even to just bring up Discord. And we have Discord, go through each and every one and share it. No, I don't. I'm actually not going to share each and every one of them. You can share it for me if you could be so kind. Right now, no. Come on, baby. There we go. Right. That'll do. That'll do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Okay, so we will get started now by getting this box. And first up is the pilot episode, more or less, of Downton Abbey. If you don't know what Downton Abbey is, it came out just before Game of Thrones. It was pretty big. It's all about the ups and downs of a fancy British estate the turn of the century, last century. And it was, I liked it. But this was the inspiration for it. I mean, if you look at the sheer amount of people in it, it's just mental. Gosford Park. Jesus Christ. It's just one of the films that has everyone in it. I don't think it won the Oscar that year, though. Must have been up to some stiff competition. Now, when you say dystopia, there's dystopia like, say, Blade Runner. And then there's dystopia like The Fucking Road. Also close the door here. Kind of stupid of me. I need the door open at a later date. Right, so The Road, absolutely brilliant film. Viggo Mortensen, the guy who was Aragorn from it. What's the name of the damn film? Lord of the Rings. And a little kid who I'm sure is famous for something. I don't know. But yeah, he very bleak film, and apparently I haven't read the book, but the book is far bleaker than this, and this is bleak as fuck. Oh. Hey. All right. Next on the list. Definitely gonna leave the table. 3 minutes to Wagner. What I like best about this playlist, for some reason, it won't go on to the next one till I look at it. That's the best part of this playlist. Today has not been my day, let me tell you. Oh, I suppose I should talk about the film real quick. It's Rain Man. It's got Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise. Dustin Hoffman's got he's autistic. But he's one of those savant autists. So he's not quite Christian. He's what Christian thinks he is. Great film. What the Simpson parody was. I saw that years before actually watching the real movie. Finding Neverland, a film I kind of like, but it kind of goes nowhere. About the guy who made Harry, who made Peter Pan. Johnny Depp is fine. Kate Winslet is boring because Kate Winslet is a boring woman. Dustin Hoffman's in this as well. I forgot about that. The year's most enchanting film. Sorry, David Mail. You know that, David Mail. Sorry, Daily Mail. No, but it was a perfectly fine film. It was nice. There's a few nice scenes in it, a few nice moments in it. Now this, on the other hand, is a fucking masterpiece. Road to Perdition. Paul Newman's last film. Jude Law is fucking great in it, although I always think it's Daniel Craig who plays him. I gotta remember it's Jude Law. Gangster film, really cool gangster film. And of course, Tom Hanks being Tom Hanksy. She's not being Tom Hanksy. He's kind of a bit empty, a bit vague, and it works well for the character. Really like this film. Really like this film. Paul Newman's is fantastic in it. It's all just so fucking hilarious. Now, I won't be able to add this one because I'll be honest, this is an illegal copy that I got in Cyprus because I was a naughty boy and I picked it up in Cyprus. Ratatouille, though, is a great film. Makes you so hungry. Makes you want to become a chef, but then you're like, also, no, I don't want to become a chef, especially not in France. I mean, a rat's going to take over your head and you're just going to start being controlled like crazy. So I'm going to put this one down here. Someone else can have it. It's a great film. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Ooh, who wants their 90s papa sexy Dracula? This is a great film. It's spoofed so much. I really like it. A lot of these are winners so far. I really like this film. Gary Oldman is just so fantastic in it. It's it's a damn pretty good film, and until this was like the default vampire until Twilight came out, and we used to consider him to be a fucking pussy. And then Twilight came out, and we're like, wow, he's so butch in comparison. So many girls realized they were goths watching this and Beetlejuice back to back. Welcome to the Rock. I miss movies like this. They still come out time to time, but there's something almost lost about it. It's so over the top. It's so ridiculous. I remember as a kid, I saw this. I was too young to see it, but I saw it in the theaters. And the scene with Arnold Schwarzenegger's car, who apparently was meant to be in it, and then he didn't get in it, so they snuck in that little joke. Was just I couldn't stop laughing. My mum eventually told me to shut up. But I really love this film. I also found those the little balls of chemicals, the poison that they use, the big MacGuffin. I think that's like the most like I kind of wanted one of those things. They look like big mints. It's not the most polished film. There's a scene in it that is fucking hilarious where um the um one of the guys falls, and as he gets shot back, Ed Harrison. When he gets shot back, he actually like you can see the mat he's falling on. It's fucking hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. It is. It goes on a little bit. I will say that it does seem to drag. This is a film that I've got mixed feelings over. One of the last great animated movies, especially because it wasn't Disney. It was DreamWorks. The Native American girl in it is fucking hot. Like Jesus Christ, the curves on that one. And they try to slip in a good couple of like adult jokes, but they just can't do it. I like the character designs. I like the idea of it, but it just doesn't really go anywhere. But it's not too bad. It's not forgettable. It's the next stage up from forgettable. It's kind of, oh yeah, rather than, wait, was that a thing? I like it. And it's spawned enough memes over the years. Between that and Sinbad and Treasure Planet, this sort of art style is just gone now. And a shame because I liked all three of those films. Now let's see what we have here. I didn't even watch this one. It's still in this package. This one's interesting. It's Blood, the Last Vampire. It's based off an anime set in the 60s where this demon hunter is working for the American government on an American base, but it's like the live action adaptation of it. She's really good in it because what's the name of her? Does it say? Does it say what her name is? I'm talking about the actress, not the actual character. I can't see with the glasses on. Can't tell. Um, anyway, she's really good at just being so dead because her character hates doing what she's doing. So there's no joy or happiness in her. She's just a little cunt the whole time. But then the demons come out and she's just slicing heads off and ripping off limbs. And it's a very cool film. It's also kind of short as well. Same with the anime. I think it's based off a manga. I don't know. Fucking love this. This is a good box. Fucking love this film. Fucking love it. Never watched the show. It was on before my time, and then when I started getting into stuff, I wanted to get into stuff I was more familiar with, like say the Sweeney. But I knew of The Man from Uncle. But the film itself it's a lot like the way Kingsman is making fun of, but it's serious. Everything's incredibly stylish, and the soundtrack is beautiful. All Italian sort of 60s and 70s sort of beats. The film it's kind of like a love triangle thing going on, and yeah. I always think that if they ever do a live action Archer, that's what he'd look like. Atonement. Until Dunkirk, the only real good representation of Dunkirk. The rest of the film is fucking trash. I don't see what the point is. But then the scene on the beach is just like, oh wow, that's really well put together. The acting is fine. The plot is kind of. But then the scene on the beach, and I'm like, whoa, cool. And then Dunkirk came along and was a better film doing that. But that was the whole film of it. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It just was, you know. And we got a whole lot more to go through. That's a lot of fish. That's a lot of bullshit, actually, in all fairness. I watched this in the theater and I liked it. Godzilla. 97, wasn't it? 97, 97. Was it 97? 99? No. 99. From the creators of Independence Day. Yeah, a lot of it wasn't all that great. But one thing I remember, which was weird as fuck, they got lambasted. The guys who did it before got lambasted by Cecil and Ebert, the reviewers. So what happened was they put characters of them as the mayor and the assistant mayor in the movie, and they were just assholes. It's not just that they were like throwaway jokes. They made them integral to the plot, and they just made them horrible throughout the whole of it. And I'm just there like, why? What does this have to do with Godzilla? There's one or two interesting scenes from it. I like the scene where the helicopters are chasing him through New York. Or should I say her, as it's a mother. I also remember the Jamiroquai song that came out with it. Kind of dressed a little bit Jamiroquai. Was it like, I'm going deeper underground? Yeah. Yeah, but it wasn't a great film. Wasn't too bad. But it was the best we had outside of the classics. I mean, the stuff from the 80s and 90s was kind of shit, so yeah, it wasn't too bad at all. A body as tall as London's Big Ben and strength and agility like the world has never seen until King Kong comes around. It's been from one side of Japan to the other. Lost in translation. I fucking love this movie, and I'm not just talking. This is a very good box. These have almost all been winners so far. This I really love this film, and it isn't just because at the start of it you get to see Scarlett Johansson in a pair of see-through panties. That's definitely a plus, but that's not the focal of it. It's it really does picture what it's like to be in a very alien culture where you can't even understand the language, you can't even understand the street signs, you know? It's very cool. I love it. I love Bill Murray's approach to it, which is like tired beyond tired, which is just him normally. I like Scarlett though. She's kind of listless. She's got no direction. Plus, her husband's almost certainly having an affair. Who the fuck would cheat on Scarlett Johansson? Um, Everyone wants to be found. There's some great scenes, and I love the hooker scene where I want you to lip my stocking, lip my stocking. And when he lips her stocking, rips, she falls over and she's like, "Oh no, please stop, no!" And he's just staring at her, and she looks like a turtle upside down. Or the scene with the whiskey where the director is just screaming at him to know bigger emotion, you know. Um, yeah, it's a fantastic film. Absolutely love it. The scene with the old man in the hospital was actually not staged at all. They just found this old dude and he started rambling off in Japanese. These are falling down. I'd look silly if they fell off my head. Hi, kids. Welcome back to the Weird Ass Angle Hour. But great film. Love it. Absolutely love it. And the endless march of great films go on. The Mask. Oh, this film blew my mind as a kid. Don't know how loud that is for you. For me, it could be a little bit. No, it could be a little smaller. So, The Mask is just. It's like probably the first superhero or comic book, rather, that I knew of that was also geared towards adults. Not. See, I was so young, I didn't realize that comics could be for adults too. Just listen to the song for Linkara, Top of the Fort Wall. They're not just for nerds; they're for everybody. But I go back again and again and watch it every few years, and it's just, yeah, it never stops not being amazing. I mean, I loved how he moved. That in particular, it was kind of like he was angled. And I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something that reminded me of it. A lot of the characters from Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Zim, what's his name, Velasquez. They moved like that. These sort of rigid angles. But the Mask did it as a sort of like parody of old Tex Avery cartoons and shit, particularly the horny fox or the horny wolf, which of course that's not the name of him, but that's what everyone calls him. Always going after Little Red Riding Hood. From Zero to Hero, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was very good in this. I suppose if there's one criticism I have, it's that the side plot when he's got the mask off with what's her name, Cameron Diaz. It's kind of a bit fake, not fake, but it's a bit empty, a bit. Meh. I like the cartoon that came with it as well. Yeah, that looked cool. I need to go back and watch that sometime. Here's finally a film that might be a bit crap. A lot of people are out on it. Jackson's King Kong. I like certain scenes from it, and I'm not gonna lie, the scene with the bugs that they deleted, the creepy crawly scene, particularly with the leeches, I find that terrifying. At least unnerving. There's the scene where they're going through half what's left of the crew is going through it, and as they are, there's just a scene where like all these leeches start coming up, and they don't make a noise. They just go over and over again, and the leeches start freaking me the fuck out. And everyone starts getting freaked out. One guy gets caught and he's got a machete and one arm's free, desperate, trying to kill them. But there's so many of them, they just start grabbing and start slowly pulling him apart, and it's fucking crazy. The stuff with King Kong is impressive. Like, he got his mannerisms down pretty cool, but I thought I can't take it seriously that he wants to bang this woman, especially when they're like in Central Park and they're skating on the ice. I don't know. It's just I couldn't buy it because he's so much like an animal that that's not how he would act. Who's the woman who plays Naomi Watts? Oh, also standout role for Jack Black. Absolutely love it. I thought he was very good at playing the producer dude, the director. There's a lot of tongue-in-cheek references to like old RKO films and shit. Oh boy, do we have a big one here. Raging fucking bull. Oh, so many careers got started on this. It's not the best boxing film of all time. I'll say this. Rocky is. There's really no doubt about it. Rocky is. But this is a great story of someone whose drive just gets sidelined by debauchery and their own rage, their real rage. I mean, he'd be committed so quickly in today's world. Instead, he ends up watching his whole life just fall away. So it was fascinating the way he'd like almost have sex with his wife and then he'd back off the night before. And that would always be a thing because apparently that he thought that would give him the extra edge, to go. He'd literally be edging in a fight. Obviously, the camera work in this is like top notch. That scene where he gets punched and the camera follows him as his head turns down. That's just magnifique. Oh, my cinema snobness is just. I love you. Great film. Some people might see it a bit boring, but fuck it, those people are wrong. I don't want to get rid of all these great films. Look at them. I know I can see them anytime I want through numerous different ways. But, I mean, oh. This, actually, I can't use at all because, as you can tell, it's a... we finally found a shit film. It's a film with the guy who played Edward from Twilight. It actually came with the DVD, but the DVD player. It was installed already in it. So when we turned on the TV for the first time, this was playing. We found an empty box and we strapped this on and boom. So I can't use that. Someone can take that back with them. All right, here's a film that I don't care what people say. This film sucks tits. Being John Malkovich is not a good film. I'll tell you why. It is creepy. It gives off all these bizarre messages about, like, personality and shit. But overall, that's all well and good. They're like, it's great, like the way some characters interact with each other. I like all the stuff in The Office, but like the marriage was just shit. And then there was this overarching thing. Spoiler alert for a film that came out decades ago. John Malkovich is like a target of these people who want to live and take over his body, and just they go from person to person and kind of body snatch them. And it's implied that this is a good thing. Like, because also the person is still alive behind their eyes, but they're being basically stolen. You could say this is a good argument for like, this is how the media takes you and rolls with you. But, there is one scene. I take it back. There is one good scene, and it's a scene where he's in this restaurant and bar. Very fancy, but everyone has John Malkovich's face, and all they say is Malkovich, 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 Malkovich. The singer on top of the piano, Malkovich. That was funny for the weirdness. Ah, no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I don't care what critics say. I'm allowed to have my opinions. This film is shit. It is pretentious. It is fucking weird, and it is hard to follow. And when I do understand it, it gives off the worst possible messages. Kind of like The Host. Here's one that the film critics love, and I love. Although a lot of people look back at it and go like, "But why? Why was this so popular?" Popular because A, it's based off a true story, and B, like it's actually like a very good film for Julia Roberts. She really performs well because she's not performing like dull to the nines like when she does in say the Ocean's films. Here she's just a mom who stumbles across something rather horrible, and the companies try to cover her up. And uh, also Aaron Eckhart's in it as well. Is it Aaron Eckhart? Yep, Aaron Eckhart or Eckhart. I don't know which. Anyway, this is pretty good for him. He plays like a sort of wandering biker dude. That's just a part of her life. I don't know if he's based off a real dude or not. Um, Also, I don't remember her boobs ever being as nice as this. Like, ever. And they play up her boobs a lot. She often wears low cut shirts because apparently she did that. She apparently just barfly flirted with a lot of loser dudes to get information. Um, and it worked, you know. Companies paid through the roof. Later on, I found out that the lawyer, Ed Massery, he got into some trouble over something. Over, I think, the same thing that they were accusing him of. Oh, I saw something behind me there. This looks like a good setup for a video for like a ghost coming out of nowhere. Remember, folks, if a ghost comes up, do like and subscribe. I'm probably like 1/10 gay because I like a lot of camp things. And I know the two aren't super directly related to each other, but sometimes they are. I love Grease. Sandy! The only film I really like Travolta in as the most. John Travolta solidifies his position as the most versatile and magnetic screen presence of the decade. I suppose so. He definitely was the sex symbol. Um, Olivia Newton-John, by the way, she I can't believe that the scene where she's dressed up as a greaser. She actually sewn into those pants. They were so tight. Like, damn. I also love the Beauty School Dropout song. It's so brutal. Yet she so fancies the dude. Uh, Benetine, isn't it? That she doesn't even realize for most of the song that he's just insulting the living shit out of her. Oh, it's good stuff. I love that film so much. Watched this film a little while ago again. I like watching films based off true life events that don't often like they have real political ramifications. Spotlight was brutal. I vaguely remember it being talked about on the news because it did affect here. It affected all over the world. Any country that was Catholic, and even non-Catholic countries, it did affect. It's not a fun movie. It's like watching Schindler's List. It's a bit depressing unless you want to see the details of how they managed a lot of it. There's some shocking moments, but you have to kind of go through hours of them just looking through stuff and interviewing people. It's a very, very good film on a horrible topic, and I really appreciate it. It won Oscar, didn't it? Yeah, Best Picture that year. What year? I won numerous ones. I remember that. Now, what the thing is, it's still kind of going on because they still find paperwork related to this whole this particular batch of pedophile priests. It's even like a very nice basic one. It kind of reminds me of All the President's Men, the film from the 70s. Never did get my hands on that film. Do love it though. Lost Boys. Never loved this film as much as other people do, but it's still fun. Um, I've got a story related to this film though. I was in a pub years ago, and for some reason the pub hadn't closed. But whatever they'd been doing prior, they had put a DVD of The Lost Boys on. But you couldn't hear it over the the TV over, which was behind the bar, over the din of people. So I was there all night. I must have gone in there around about 10 in the evening. I left at 5 or 6 in the morning. They actually kicked us all out. The bar stayed open for whatever reason, but they kicked us all out when the sun came up. Luckily, I was living in Dublin at the time. But this played non-stop that whole night. I must have watched like the scene where I think they're like at the boardwalk, maybe like 5 or 6 times when I wasn't chatting to people. I got so shit faced. Also went completely dry because I was drinking so Hottenberg all night. There's a good beer. I'm talking about the beer more than the movie because it's fine. It's an interesting take. It's never been so fun to be a vampire. Yeah, pretty much. Here we go. I'll get a few more of these and then I will close up the bag. Love this film. Love it, 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 love it. Mel Gibson being a very sort of middle-aged Mel Gibson. We were soldiers once and young. I like a lot of these sort of pre and post 9/11 war films that go into a lot of details on specific battles, like say Black Hawk Down or D-Day movies. I think I have Jarhead as well, although that's not based off a battle per se. But I do love these sort of films. Hurt Locker would be another one. It's a very good film, at times a very accurate film, other times not. I think History Buff did a great video on it. The action's fantastic once you get into the base of it, and once the action starts, it doesn't stop until right at the end of the film. So you're there with them for like well over an hour of this film, just getting shot at by 1,000 different people, fire raining down from the sky. It's a great film. God, is there any? So far, we've only got one bad film, and that's almost subjective. This is definitely subjective. This might be one of my favorite films of all time. Dune. It's so over the top. It's so ridiculous. It gets so many things wrong while trying to do everything right. There's just scenes in it that to this day I stop and go, what the fuck? Like when, particularly with the Harkonnens, with shit like the when Sting comes out of the freezer thing in his sort of leather nappy, and Gene Hackman starts kind of fondling his massive tits, and I'm like, I love the books. I love the universe it's set in. Very hard to read, especially near the end of the book series. Oof, that just gets insane. You have to reread them over and over again before you get to the ending books. But this is a great film. It was an absolute disaster of a film, absolute disaster of a movie. But I still loved it. And I also like this song. I really do appreciate this film. I wish it wasn't so much of a failure. David Lynch was a poor choice in my view. Now I know Jaworski is almost out with his version of Dune. That'll be fascinating. I don't want Warhammer 40,000. I want Dune. But if you get it a little closer to Warhammer 40,000 and makes a little bit more sense, I'd be okay with it. We see plans within plans. The spice must flow. Wow, these are all great films. Beautiful Mind, Russell Crowe. Didn't know the first thing about him. In actual fact, once you learn about him, he's nowhere near as important for the grand scheme of things as, at least till later on in his life, as the movie makes him out to be. Like he's some sort of world famous code breaker. He did it once, but that's just it. His mind kept on going, and he started thinking that he was a part of this massive conspiracy involving three people who didn't exist. He had, was it dementia, schizophrenia? That's odd. They're trying to fix it. But there's a great scene. There's a great scene in it where his wife discovers his special room that he thinks is like all full of like computers and people, and it's just random bits of newspaper jammed to a wall. Every time he thought he was getting shot at in a car, he probably was in a phone booth somewhere, sobbing his head off. Russell Crowe's very good at this. I've got a lot of Academy winners in what I did. These are all going the way of the dodo now. Here's Black Hawk Down. Yeah, I watched this year when I was a kid, and I loved it. I also was getting into History Channel at the time, back when it was good. And to coincide with this, they released a documentary on the actual events of Mogadishu and Black Hawk Down. It was a bit hard to follow sometimes. It was kind of actually useful that all the white dudes were fighting all the black dudes. Ooh, problematic. But and like We Were Soldiers was, it's the same thing. It has a sort of, it was made pre 9/11, wasn't it? This would have so much extra weight to it if it was made post 9/11. 2001, but I don't think it came out the same. I don't think it came out the same month or anything like that. It came out just before 9/11. Post 9/11, oof, this would have probably actually gotten pulled from the shelves. What's his name? Tom Clancy shows up in director's commentary. Actually, there's a lot of director's commentaries on that one in particular. Here's the last of the films from this box. I'll try and close it up. So I'm saving this one for last. Ghostbusters. Think about Ghostbusters. I'm 1 and 2. 1 is, it's almost a shoestring budget in a lot of ways. It's very down to the characters being funny. The premise is all well and good, but it seems almost like quaint in comparison to the second film, which didn't have all that much extra of the budget, but they knew that they were starting a franchise. Tied in with the cartoon. The performances of all of them are just fantastic. Harold Ramis as Egon is just great. Dan Aykroyd as Ray. Don't know why I didn't remember that. Peter, of course, Bill Murray. The first time I ever knew of Bill Murray. The first time I knew of any of them. Yeah, I remember as a kid we used to play Ghostbusters. Like it was everywhere. You wanted to be a Ghostbuster. You loved being a Ghostbuster. It was just the cartoon was playing. The toys came out at Christmas. It was just, yeah. It wasn't really a kids film, so to speak. Like Toxic Avenger wasn't a kids film, but I had a Toxic Avenger toy. Oh yeah. Oh, this one's gonna be rough to get rid of. On the plus side, I'll probably make a bit of money off it. Who's up for a bit of bad historical accuracy, but good film? Yep. The Last Samurai is a very good film to me. It's in many ways the same as Black Hawk Down and the other one. Um, it gives a good impression of Japan at the time, especially during the rebellion in question. My friend Ashley from the States would talk your ear off about this particular period in time, the rebellion and shit like that. But I don't know. It doesn't stand out to me in the same way as other films like this do. Not in a bad way. It's just it kind of. I think about it, and then I'm like, that didn't happen. I can't turn my brain off completely. I should. I can't. I do love it though. I can't lie. I do love it. When I watch it, I enjoy it. Then afterwards, I kind of forget about it. Sometimes I see a game that kind of spoofs it in some way, and then I'm like, Yeah, and History Buff did a great video on this. Tom Cruise is very Tom Cruise in it. Elizabeth is a very good film done in a very odd way. The styling is, particularly the lighting, is so crazy. I mean, even the front of it, like you see it, like it's so white. Everything's so pure and symbolism coming out the yin yang. It's done by an Indian guy who definitely adds his flair to it. That's for sure. Um, Clive Owen is very Clive Owen-y. He's just basically Captain Man Meat, suaving like crazy. It does give like a mind of her more jealous side because they often put her on a plinth, and she still is on pretty much on a plinth. It's just they kind of like remind us that she's still a person. Also, the scene where you see her ass, that's not actually Kate's ass, unfortunately. Sorry to be the one who burst the bubble. I don't remember much of LA Confidential. I remember I liked it. Let me read the back so you can remember. The accommodation is tough, gorgeous, and vastly entertaining. Jeanette Maslin, New York Times. Genuine masterpiece that will knock your socks off. Rex Reed. Well, that's Rex Reed. I won 1997 Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Kim Basinger. Best Adapted Screenplay. Director Curtis Hanson and terrific cast are Raj and Truding Tale, Police Corruption, Hollywood Glamour. That's right. I remember there was a scene in a mission in what's the name of the film? The game, LA Noir, LA Noir, and it is very much inspired by this film. Remember the scene where they raid the house with the girls tied to the bed? That was kind of brutal. Oh, and look, I don't know how you can see it. There's Kevin Spacey. What are you doing there, Kevin? What are you doing there, Kevin? Don't you know that no one likes you anymore? Don't you know? Don't you know no one likes you anymore, there, Kevin? Look at that. Look at that cleavage, though. Majestic. I love Danny's little cameo down there in the corner. This is Monster by this is a stand-up performance by Dylan Moran, one of my favorite comedians out of Ireland. Not just because he's a drunken lout in black books and in real life, not just because I met him once, and not just because I went to his actual show once with a girlfriend, and my girlfriend went like "woo," and he turned to the stage and said, "Don't do that. That's American." That made her night. Um, he's very gruff and blunt and exhausted all the time. He comes across as exhausted. Oh, what's the fucking point? You know. And he goes into this tirade of like what the world is these days, and it's shit. It's just pure shit. everything is shit. But it's not. It doesn't become exhausting. It doesn't become sad. Instead, you're like, he's not fucking wrong because he keeps it lively. There's like this level of like dark energy almost that keeps it going. You're like, woo. He looks like he's about to break down in tears any minute, but then he's just like, ah, fuck it. I think he's manic depressive in real life. Great, Dylan Moran, great comedian. American Beauty. Once again, Kevin being Spacey. It's definitely a film where I knew about it for years, never got around to it, and when I did, I didn't know what to make of it at first. I thought some of the scenes were kind of interesting, particularly scenes involving nudity. I was quite young when I watched this, but it gives a good idea of Americana. It gives a good idea of slice of life. It gives a good idea of overall a feeling of like needing to break free and do your own thing, follow your dreams, but also consequences. Best pick, Jesus, 6 and 5. I forgot how great it was. It's also funny as fuck. Who was the dad? The dad, not Kevin Spacey, but the other one, the one who was closeted. He's in a few action films, but he completely misunderstands. Like, oh, it's a great film. It's a great film. It's a little up its own ass, but you know. Memoirs of a Geisha. I've read the book, and I've read the book that it's based off the real life stories of a Japanese geisha. The real life stories are actually a lot less big, but a lot more interesting in my book. The book is pretty damn good, but the movie is very, 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 very interesting. It's definitely one to grab your eye. I thought the scene where she's kind of twirling into a magical dance on stage was a bit stupid. But it goes into so much detail in the book. Here, it goes into some detail of what it's like to be a geisha. But I don't know. I was very happy. Got more Oscar bait. I was very happy with the end result, even though I recognized every single person in it because I'd seen them in other things. But you know, they needed to sell it to a Western audience, and they did. But I recommend reading the book. If you watch this first, then read the book, and then if you're really feeling up for it, read the original book. This was originally came out as a screenplay for the movie Heavy Metal, which you might remember involved a scene where a cab driver finds a beautiful girl in the backseat of his futuristic cab. That's really as far as they got. This movie is so French, and I wanted it to be a part of a wider world. They set so many things up in this movie, like nothing came out of it. And it fucking sucked that happened. This movie was so good. So fucking good at like just the way it looked. Everything was different and strange, but we recognized it. Valerian had the same vibe to it. Of course, Valerian was directed by the same person, but Valerian didn't do so well. I call bullshit. I liked Valerian. I didn't love it. I love this. Probably Mila's best role. And I know she's got all the Resident Evil shit and everything, but I don't care. Best role. Lilo Dallas, definitely most quotable. Lilo Dallas multipass. Multipasso. Yeah, chicken good. Yeah, yeah. Plus, this is back when she still got naked on camera because she didn't really have very good English, so she made up with it by showing off her tits and ass. Luke Benson, that's the one. I really did enjoy this film. And again, I'm really pissed off that all these ones are gone. All right. I'm actually going to leave this one in particular for the very last. I want to talk about this one in particular. I have other films that hit the criteria, but if anyone's gotten this far, I know we've had a few ghosts in earlier and then they left. If anyone's gotten this far and then they know what this is, by all means, don't be shocked. But I've definitely talked about it before. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Ideally, I'd like someone in the chat when I tell the story. Cry Kid, 1, 2, and 3. Now I know Cobra Kai's out. I haven't watched Cobra Kai. I hear it's not terrible. This film is great. You don't need me to tell you that. The same way when I had the Gremlins up and it's like, oh, Gremlins was great. Really? Gremlins was great. Fuck off. Obviously, Gremlins was great. And Karate Kid 1 is great. Karate Kid 2, in particular, was the one with the bad guy, right? There was this businessman who was like completely like unscrupulous. He was just a dick, but he was so over the top in it. It was just glorious. There's so many like corny, um, goofy moments that it'd be next to impossible to hate this film, except for the kid. The kid did not know how to shut the fuck up. He did not know how to just put them in a body bag. And all you have to do is put the wax on, put the wax off. Besides that, it was a good film. Blade Trinity. Don't know why I don't have the other ones here. Just gotten rid of them. Blade Trinity is actually a film that I think is very important because only of this. Ryan Reynolds in an early proto Deadpool role. He's nothing but really funny one-liners. But beyond that, I kind of like this film as it is. I think if he was gone, it would be terrible. But um, like I like Triple H in it. Like he was a weird choice. He had a little Pomeranian that had the jaw from the jaw vampire from the second one. You made a vampire Pomeranian? Why not? I like the opening scene where they're all in the bodysuits, where so they can go out in the middle of the day. God, look at this in the back. Ryan Reynolds, known for National Lampoon's Van Wilder. Oh, good film. Overall, it's grand. The Dracula's pretty as fuck, and he's kind of like he's pretty down far on the list in terms of vampire Draculas. He's not the bottom of the list, but still. I enjoyed this film. I thought there were scenes in it that could be dropped. I thought scenes in it. Actually, this whole series has a problem with too many scenes, too many scenes, too many things that could be cut, and too many poor decisions. I wanna be like you. I've not watched the live action yet. 40th anniversary edition. Nice. This might actually be worth something. As far as movies go, Disney movies, Jungle Book was not my favorite. I like the whole Shere Khan angle. I like the King Louis scenes. They're pretty good. I relate to Baloo on a fundamental level. But yeah, there's far worse out there. I remember when the characters were rehashed for a version of Indiana Jones TV show, and it was I forget what it was called. It was kind of like the Rescue Rangers, but had these, and he had he had a flying boat. It had a very sort of 1920s, 1930s vibe to it. Oh, it's past the first hour now. Remember, folks, you've gotten this far, like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. He's been giving you content. Fucking hell, YouTube. And fucking hell, OBS. And even fucking hell, me. I shouldn't have been playing those shit. Only got myself to blame, I guess. Except for OBS, I have no idea what's going on wrong there. Oh, here's Blade 1. I really like Blade 1. Wesley Snipes is fantastic in it because of his sort of. He knows how to crack jokes, but he also knows how to be. He's like ridiculously serious. But there's a great scene early on where two cops shoot him in his bulletproof chest, and I just go ding ding. Looks and it looks up. You out of your damn mind? Always some motherfucker trying to ass skate uphill. No, apparently they were going to replace the fight at the end with this big blood volcano, and the test audience hated it. Just hated it. All right, we're coming close to the end now. We got 2 films left. Blades of Glory is one of those sort of dodgeball era, Anchorman, Balls of Fury. There's a few films out there like this. Battle of Ricky Bobby, Walk Hard. They're spoof films, but I think they're done pretty damn well. I don't think they're done great. There's a lot of great one-liners in it. And, you know, yes, I did just eat that. Why? Yeah, that's why. Hashtag sticker eater in the chat if you got this far. It's just basically a lot of friends doing a lot of they're all a bunch of like friends in real life, and they're all just kind of like working together. It's a paycheck film, but it's also a filler film. It would have been definitely something fun to like bring a date on. I particularly like Will Ferrell in it because he's so fucking dumb. Zoolander's another one like this, especially the outfits. Jesus. This year's coolest comedy. See, like it's that sort of film. It's a fire and forget comedy. You watch it once, you get it on DVD when it was on sale. Welcome to Jurassic Park. They won't let this series die. It just keeps going over and over. You know about this movie. It is obvious that you've seen it. If not, go and watch it. It is an okay film. In fact, it's pretty great in some scenes. I watched it in theaters, had a great time, but I was a dumb kid, and dinosaurs. Then no one heard that. No one will probably ever hear it. Welcome to Dinosaurs. Fucking love this film. It's not without its flaws, but I even love the box it's come in. Look, it's part of the 100 years. I have E.T. over there somewhere at the same. I kind of do wish they let the series die with some dignity. I watched every 1 to the 3rd in the movie. I'm still in love with a glossy embossed case. But as it stands, life finds a way, and so do greedy studios wanting to cash in on brand recognition. So one day they'll probably remake this. Now, this is the last one. So I'm going to go now and explain what's so special about Excalibur. Excalibur was made by my dad. He was one of hundreds of people, of course, who helped make this film happen. My dad's job in this film was to make the jewelry for the arms. for a lot of the women. In particular, the Lady of the Lake. The scene where she's coming out of the water, holding onto the sword, all that shit down there, my dad made. He made for my ma a glass version of it that when I was a kid, she used to bring out. Had a little loop around the side and went down here. She used to also party with a lot of the actors and actresses. The woman who plays Morrigan in this used to get weed off my dad, and they'd all go to the trailers afterwards after shooting and smoke. And apparently, she was an absolute cunt. An absolute cunt. Taking my own person, you can just make out the armor of the lady there. My dad made that. He made a couple of things in different films. Every time I find one of his films in my collection, I'll talk about it. This film is so over the top. It's so crazy. It's so bombastic and huge. Like Monty Python made fun of it, but he couldn't do it justice. Like the guy who made this also made Conan, if I remember right. Yeah, you can just move it out there. It's such a great film. I absolutely love it. The soundtrack is glorious. But yeah, this will never be. I'll never not think of this film without thinking of my dad. Because boy, howdy, did he love to tell the stories. Right, let's try and zip this up. Try to escape from me. I don't think so. We can get way more in this. There. There, we can get way more in this. God, bastard. Finally, now this is as I'm trying to zip up, someone shows up. Damn, man, you missed my part about the Excalibur and shit. Oh, man. Still, welcome to the show. We're not done quite yet. I was only thinking of ending because I thought the bag was full. In reality, I can get way more in this. God, I look like a crazy man. I look like a crazy human being. So crazy. Right. Let's get on with it. Let us get on with it. I'd say we got another. God. Actually, don't know. I don't know. Will I be able to? Yeah. 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 I think we can pull this off. Or at least we can get these 4 out of the way. Or is it 5? 5. These 5 out of the way. My mouth's starting to get a bit wide though. Jarhead. Gotta know this song. Alright, so Jarhead is a great example of how marketing can lie to you. Jarhead is a film pretty much at first glance about like the war in the Gulf. And everyone's like, wow, it's gonna be like Apocalypse Now or Platoon or whatever. No, it's mostly about this dude. Jake. Oh yeah. What is it? Glenhall? No, whatever. Jake, blah, 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 proceeds to Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaal, that's the one. He was just, it's all just the crap in his head. It's about how he's dealing about, like, what's war about, blah, blah, blah. It goes on. And every once in a while, you get a cool image. But it's mostly just about this dude's descent into depression and post traumatic stress, even though he never kills a single person in the entire film. There's some great scenes in it. Some great scenes. There's a scene where they get friendly fired, striked, or gas falls on them. There's also a scene where the things you can do the things you can do to pass the boredom, and it keeps talking about masturbating. He's also pretty good. Jamie Foxx. God damn, I love my life. This is The Invisible Man. It is entirely a great film. It's a great film for what it represents rather than the film itself. It's apparently glow in the dark. Nope. I've heard a lot of people say that this was like a secret, like he's secretly gay. A lot of people have made that sort of reference. I don't see it as such, but it's definitely not a bad idea. Like not a bad way of looking at it. As far as like a horror film goes, it's not really a horror film. There's not really all that much horror about it. Instead, it's a bunch of assholes who don't know how to judge someone. Although, in all fairness, he himself is also an asshole. So, you want to see? I will show you. Hellboy. First one. A lot more chatting than I was used to in films, especially films with Ron Perlman as like a giant red monster. I thought it was very good the way it was played out. And what's his name? The guy who plays Fraser Niles. The guy who plays Niles is pretty good at it as it. I also like the sort of Nazi overtones with the clockwork Gestapo dude. And Ivan the Terrible was alright. He wasn't great. It's kind of forgettable. The whole film had a sort of almost forgettable vibe to it, but then Ron Perlman's acting, I think, really comes back into it. It almost gives me a vibe of like what an SCP movie would be like. To be entirely honest with you. Hellboy, great film. No, good film. Good film. This is shit. This is a kid's. I made a mistake. I thought this was Horrible Histories, the British TV documentary kid show. That's actually really good. I highly recommend you check out clips of it on YouTube. But not this. This is an Irish-made thing. Horrible Histories, and so instead of Horrible History, it's Horrible Histories, and it's just like these kids go back in time every episode, and they learn about the plague, and they learn about the Renaissance, and they learn about whatever. But I don't like the art style, and I don't like the that's just not funny. Maybe if I was a kid, it would be a lot more funnier. No, it's just Hollow Man from one dude who was see-through to a far superior one. Here's Rapey McHotman being Rapey McHotman. I thought the CG work was okay. It was pretty damn good. And I liked how his mind was slowly getting twisted and warped. Um, in particular, I like the in between scenes where you can see like his bones or his skin or his veins all coming out, and he's like, "Think you're alone? Think again." But there's some very brutal scene. Like I said, he's a fucking rapist on more than one occasion, or at least he tries to numerous times, and only does it once. It's the idea of like, if you can get away with anything, would you? Um, well, he's actually putting it to the test, and he's very selfish about it. Um, besides that, like a lot of the roles are kind of boring, kind of dull. You don't really remember much of anything. Um, it's really just Kevin Bacon being Kevin Bacon, and Kevin Bacon became really good. And every time I say his name, I'm hungry, and that's not a bad thing. This film gets a lot of hate. Here's another example of a film that gets a lot of hate. I like it. I really like Hitchhiker's Guide. I don't think it's as good as the TV show, and I don't think it's as good as the books. But again, the books I think are at times a little overrated. They have trod some great ideas, but the payoff doesn't always work. I like the world it's set in. Um, I thought Alan Rickman as Marvin was fantastic. It kind of reminded me of his role in Galaxy Quest, and just looking at here, the what they call the Vortigons, not the Vortigons, the who are the giant fat motherfuckers? I thought they were brilliant. The most lame, pedantic assholes in the world. Um, I really like the world that it's set in, and I think that if I'd done better, it would have gotten a sequel, and I'd have been cool with that. I think when they ever redo this, they'll probably look back at this film and be like, we don't want to do it quite like this. I suppose the stuff with John Malkovich was kind of a bit shit. The cult. Um, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. It helps that they're on such a they have such a good base material to work off. But some people love it, some people hate it. I think it's all right. All right, we should I should be able to put the rest of this box in. Once this box is sorted, that will be it. Which is good because my mouth's getting a little bit on the little bit on the don't you know? All right. Oh hell yeah! Yeah! Do, 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 do. The year is 2005. The heroic Autobots, led by Optimus Prime, are preparing to retake their home world of Cybertron from the evil Decepticons. Megatron and Decepticons have other plans, though, as they launch a full-scale assault on the Autobot city on Earth. Not on the on Autobot City. Transformers War will soon seem like a petty squabble, however, as a new menace in the galaxy in the shape of the planet-eating Unicron threatens to destroy all before it, starting with Cybertron itself. I forgot it also contains flashing lights. Now, this film was so brutal as a kid. I could not believe that so many characters would die and not come back. You're like, plastic toys, so what? Yeah, no, they make some of the deaths fucking visceral. There's one of them who's like smoke comes out of his mouth and like the light leaves his eyes as he collapses down. It's just also Orson Welles as a never-ending food machine. Very smart. In the last role he's technically in. Yeah, this I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love it now, but back in the day I was like, Optimus Prime's dead. They put this fucking loser, what's it, Hot Rod in as his replacement. Bullshit. What if it turns out this entire thing I haven't been making a single bit of noise? Which is weird because I can actually see the thing down the bottom there. Starship Troopers 2. Now, I don't blame them for making a sequel because I loved Starship Troopers 1. I do blame them for making a shitty sequel like Starship Troopers 2. It has a sort of it vibe to it. No, the thing, sorry. They all squirm down here. um, they use a lot of the old stuff from the show, the last movie. So, like, you look at the helmets there. It's it's all just like stuff left over. None of them are like any way good. I think that's the guy from Idiocracy. Um, it's very low budget, and they want it to be Aliens 1 minute and Starship Troopers the next. It doesn't have any real thing going for it. That's why, for example, the bugs aren't even that much of a threat for most of it. They're hiding inside this fortress. You don't see much of the bugs because the bugs cost too much to make. Instead, they have an infiltrator woman, much like the blonde girl from the Battlestar Galactica show. It's fine. It's not bad. 3 actually gets closer to the source material. Oh, happy feet! I'm dancing. Um, it's a very hard, it's a very cute film. I liked a lot of it. What's his name's in it? Irwin, Steve Irwin is was going to be shot in it, and then he died, and then they added his part in as a sort of tribute. He's very the film itself is very big. It was very big, bombastic. I thought it was very interesting. The best part I liked out of all of it had to be when they were in the when he gets put in um, the zoo and he's losing his mind. Like he's just going like it's not even like a proper zoo. It's more like an aquarium. And he's like, "It's okay, Dave. Everything's all right here." The other ones are just like lost their mind. One's just slamming his head off against a wall at one point. Um, that was dark. It was grand though. It was definitely another Oscar film. Another Oscar film winner. Damn, I had quite the collection. It's all going now. This is a film that a lot of people forget. Invictus was pretty big for its time. Still is pretty big, but it just no one cared after a while. It was just one of those films like Coach Carter or uh, Remember the Titans, Moneyball. Uh, it was just a film that tried to tie in far bigger things than it actually had. But the actor's abilities paid off. I liked Matt Damon in it as the captain, and I like Morgan Freeman as Nelson. In fact, Nelson Mandela himself said the only person who could play me was Morgan Freeman, and he's right. Maybe when Idris Elba's an old man, he might be able to, but Morgan Freeman right now is the only person who can play. Maybe then, maybe Idris can play Idris Elba can play Morgan Freeman uh, playing Nelson Mandela. The film, it's hard sometimes to pin down. There's a scene where he's talking to Nelson Mandela's talking to his daughters. That's nothing to do with anything. Um, but yeah, it's a it's an all right film. I think it actually deserves to be remembered more than it is. But then again, you've seen it. Hell, you might even be alive to remember it in real life. The Abyss. What can we do with computers? The answer is water effects. Sweet, sweet water effects. I remember only a few things from this movie. Heart-stopping white knuckle deep sea thrills. No. No, no, not at all. That's an outright lie. Because white knuckle would imply the same sort of terror as aliens had. No. There's some drama, there's some thriller, but it's just you're there for more of the spectacle, really. There's a good few films that are heavily inspired, games that are heavily inspired by this film. But the the water the water alien thing didn't really hold up to snuff these days, but it's still impressive for its time. Has a good claustrophobic feel, and if you're underwater in like a submarine or a sea base, that's what you want to have. You want a claustrophobic feel. Mama said life is like a box of chocolates. You get diabetes and you die. Then again, we're both descended from racists, so maybe we deserve it. Forrest Gump. One man's ability to sit down and talk. I don't know the first thing about that. I'm confused. This is actually the more I go back and watch it, the more I feel so sorry for that he fall in love with with oh, what's her name? What's her fucking name? The name of the woman in it, is it Sandy? But she's a fucking bitch, and she just shows up and be like, Forrest, I've partied now. I want you as my beta cook. Okay. You're gonna be happy here with me. We'll both look after our AIDS, baby. You know, I'm technically a millionaire. Is that why you're back? I mean, he gets money from Apple for the rest of his life. Something tells me Forrest is a bit on the rich side. Curious Case of Benjamin Button is just a retelling of this with a different premise. It is an interesting film. I've shown this film to a few people, particularly women, and they're like, "Why do you like this so much?" I like it because it's a great example of acting from both of them. Hope Springs is a film with Meryl Streep and Tommy Lee, and basically they're just not fucking. That's just the gist of it. They're in that part in their relationship where Emily Jones doesn't want to have sex anymore, and Meryl Streep does. So they get Steve Carell in to basically be their counselor, and it's all very, very lighthearted. It's a very mom going into grandma era movie. But what I like about it is that there's a lot of depth to it. It's a very white film, that's for sure. But it's there's a lot of like really good acting skills in it. And I was genuinely surprised. But I remember he was on an interview with Charlie Rose talking about this film when it came out, and he Charlie asked him like, everyone knows Meryl Streep can pull off anything, but a lot of people were surprised that you picked this. And he's like, yeah, well, I like, I can act subtle and quiet as much as anyone, which is true. I think Kay is a great example of that in Men in Black. Ah, Enemy at the Gates. Yeah, this film is what people think the Russian war was like, and there were elements to it for sure. I don't think everyone would look this pretty. Ed Harris isn't even on the back of this. There he is, way at the bottom. Where's Ron Perlman? Ron Perlman's not on this. Fuck. It's it's a very cool looking film. Everyone always tries to recreate that, like the whole human wave getting mowed down. The Chinese did that in Korea, and so did the Koreans, for that matter. You ever want to recreate that? That's how you can do it. Or do a Warhammer 40,000 and put the Imperial Guard in as the base. I want to see that shit. Um, I don't have much in the way of complaints of this one. I really enjoy it as a good war film. Uh, I don't know why. I think it needs at times to be longer. I don't know exactly what I mean by that as well. I suppose they take some things out. There's this love triangle going on that they can get rid of. Um, I know a lot of women find the sex scene between these two, to be really fucking hot. Which I'm like, really? When they're in that corridor, everyone's asleep, and then they have to be really careful as they're shagging, and then stop, and then people walk by, and they have to pretend to be asleep, and they keep on shagging. She's got a very nice bottom. She does. What's her name? Rachel Weisz. She's a very nice bottom. I approve. But no one would have looked as pretty or as good as that during Stalingrad. Are you fucking mental? This is a film that took me years to get around to watch. And when I did, I didn't like it. I thought it was pretentious. I thought it was a bit convoluted and strange. It wanted to be goofy and different, and I didn't. I didn't care for that. Like her character, she's one of the main characters out of all of it. All she wants to do is fuck. And she does it to the point where even people who are like trying to be nice to her, maybe to get in her pants, or maybe just to like tell her that it's okay. No, she's not having it. She treats everyone as an obstacle. It's fucking ridiculous. He's ridiculously dumb. He is so dumb. He is so fucking dumb in every scene he's in. Um, it was either Malkovich or Clooney who shoots someone. Like, there's very few good people in these films. They're all dicks. They're all just dicks. Now thinking about this, oh, it's a Coen Brothers film. Never mind. Could be worse. Here's a film that I don't care. I don't care. I've got a soft spot for it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've always loved Bond films. Maybe it's because I like Rowan Atkinson. Maybe it's because I like. No, it's just those two things. I can't help it. Like I thought the sequel was shit, but the first one was just yeah. I really, really, really liked it. The storyline's stupid, but it doesn't need to be. I mean, most Bond films are fucking stupid, especially stuff with some of the lesser known Bonds. Roger Moore era Bond, maybe. Some of those plots were fucking ridiculous. The one with Christopher Walken, where there was a big zeppelin. What the fuck was that? Or hell, Octopussy was a fucking bizarre film. So it's no different. But yeah, I liked how I liked how he was just a failure at everything. A good comparison would be in that Clouseau film that came out. Both of which aren't really liked, but I like them, and I don't know why. It's trash. It really is trash. It's not great. I never made a third film for a very good reason. Doesn't need to be. It's alright. He knows no fear. He knows no danger. He knows nothing. At least they're honest with it. And here's the last film. Ooh, I was talking about this last night on Evan's channel. He brought me in as a guest near the end of the evening. Stallone, Judge Dredd. As a kid, I loved this because I love Judge Dredd. I love the look of Judge Dredd. I love the setting of Judge Dredd. I love the attitude of Judge Dredd, which is fuck off, obey law. And I think if he was just like this the whole film, we needed Carl Urban. We didn't know Carl Urban like was coming. This also had like a back when everything could be still colorful. We don't get that anymore. Films used to be colorful and fun. Now, Rob Schneider's in this film. So already it's fucking ruined. You can make the greatest recipe. You can have the greatest recipe in the world, the best food in the world, done by the best chef in the world. Put in front of you, they take a turd. And as it comes out, it's Rob Schneider is a hacker who ruins a film. But Judge Dredd is fucking great. I like it. I like it. Despite him, despite every angle of his anti-vaxxer leaving in the middle of a podcast self. Fuck you, Schneider. You horrible piece of shit. I like this film. But Dread is a better film. This is more goofy fun. Dread is a better film all round. And Carl Urban is fantastic because he has no personality, you see. Carl Urban is just someone puts in his role. I am Dread now. Okay. Oh, I fucking love Dread. Pathé, also very French. Some of the people who did this probably went on to do Fifth Element. I've been to the Pathé Studios, by the way. They have that huge. They have this huge wind chime that slowly rotates, and twice a day it forms the symbol of the cock, the cockerel, not an actual dick. That would be very French, but and then it rotates away, and it's actually quite mesmerizing to watch. I hope that's still up there. If I ever get back to Paris, I want to see it before it's burnt down in its 50th riot of the month. You know. Oh, Paris, when will you learn? When the British take back control. And on that horrible note, it's time to end. No one got this far. Everyone who popped in, and even the one like I got, were ghosts that came in the night and left just as quick. Unless someone has, in which case, you know, comments would always be welcome. Not now, obviously, but in the description, if you got this far, it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I would highly recommend this bag in particular. It's full of some glorious movies. Jesus Christ. But yeah, like if you liked what I've been doing, thank you very much. If you want to help out the channel in any way, I wouldn't say no to a like or a share or a subscribe. I also would not say no to a joining the Discord, which you won't find a link of down below, but if you go back to some of the other ones, you'll find the link for it there. I also have a Streamlab and PayPal heading towards the trip next year. Anything you could give out would be greatly appreciated. I would really recommend you not forget that last part because I really could do with the cash come the time. This is all going to be sold. That's why I'm packing it all up. Not that it's a requirement. Not that it's a requirement, but it really would help me out. Anyway, so I'm going to stream tomorrow. I have one last hope for something different. I can't keep doing this forever. If it works out, that'll be great. If not, what I will do is, well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I can't live stream in the same way that I used to. Can't always travel. I've got a travel video this week. Oh, yeah, my bad. Okay, so won't be so bad next week, but I still have to find something for Wasted Wednesday. Anyway, I'm going to go and probably give you another pub scroll, to be honest with you. I think it's a Ballbridge, maybe. That'll be interesting. Anyway, I'll be gone. I've got something for this tomorrow, and then on Wednesday, we're going to go up to Dublin. You're going to be with me. So, yeah, check in for that. Thank you, everyone who watched in the past and in the future, perhaps even in the present. But I'm out of here. Take care. See you all again soon. Bye.